Welcome to Faces of Divorce, the podcast where we explore the profound impact of parental separation and divorce through the eyes of those who lived through it, whether as children, adults, or professionals. Each week, we share compelling stories about expert insights that shed light on the challenges and triumphs of navigating divorce. The goal is to divorce different. No more trauma in the divorce process, empowering our community even in the face of divorce. Thank you for tuning in to Faces of Divorce, whether you're seeking support, insight, or simply a better understanding of how to navigate this difficult terrain, you're in the right place. And today on Faces of Divorce, we have our guest, an amazing guest, Jodelin Seu, who is going to talk to us about her experience. Jodelin, thank you for being on Faces of Divorce. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
We are excited to get into your story. All right. So tell us about your childhood. Where did you grow up? How was that experience?
Okay, well, born and raised in Miami. I have five siblings. We grew up very close. We had a household where my parents worked a lot. They were always in church. So we kind of raised each other,
Mhm.
and that's how we grew such a strong bond where we are very dependent on each other.
Okay. And you said you have five siblings. Where do you fall in the mix? Are you older? You're the youngest? What is your position in
Oh,
that
I'm right in
group?
the middle. I'm number
Right in the
four.
middle. Okay.
I'm right in the middle. But I didn't feel like a middle child because I felt like we were all middle children,
Uh-huh.
just the way we all grew up and everything was so balanced and fair. So
All right. So what did you said your parents were always working and busy? What did your parents do? Like what was that?
my parents, they did insurance, they did real estate. They did a few things early on, like when we were growing up. And then from there, they were always in church. I think my father became a pastor when I was very young.
Mhm.
And so my upbringing was surrounded with church activities. So,
Okay. So born and raised in the church, being in the church, when was there ever a time where you were in church or you left church when you're younger? Were you always in church?
yeah, we were always in church. I was always in church. I had grandparents in the Bahamas. So even going to the Bahamas in the summers, I spent a couple of school years there.
Yes.
And again, always in church. So that was just my background, my whole identity was church.
Now, with that, so we're going to use that as the base, right? Being in church, was there either in your home or in church itself um, conversations or teachings about relationships and marriage? Like, how did you receive it in those two contexts or just generally?
So there wasn't a conversation about marriage growing up. The way I viewed marriage was either through movies, but relationships, not
Yes,
really marriage,
yes.
through movies, books. There wasn't an actual conversation, but as I got a little bit older, like a preteens and teens, my grandmother and my aunt would always have conversations about my role or a woman's role to her husband, and the emphasis was always on respect.
Okay.
So that was basically what I got, but they didn't really discuss marriage.
Okay, so they didn't discuss it. However, were there unspoken expectations about the relationship, whether being able to have a relationship at a certain time, the type of relationship that you can have? Because I know there's sometimes in our cultures and growing up, they don't say it directly, but there's open conversations themselves that kind of let you know, oh, well, I can't talk about this, or I can't say before this age that I'm dating. Was that a thing for you?
Um, like I said again, there wasn't, I don't remember there being conversation directly about relationships. Um, what I did know was it was fairly strict in the sense that we didn't even have friends. Our friends were our
Mm,
families. We didn't go out. We couldn't go to parties or, things like that. So I think it went without saying based on that,
yes.
that relationships at a young age was not, I wouldn't even approach that conversation.
Okay. And you mentioned, I want to just go back a little. You
Mhm.
mentioned that you were in Bahamas. So tell us, what culture are your parents? So Bahamians, is that to be assumed?
So both my parents were born in Haiti. They were Haitian, but my grandmother was Bahamian.
Grandmother on your
On my
paternal or maternal side?
on my mother's side, she was Bahamian. My grandfather's Haitian, and then on my father's side, both parents were Haitian. So the emphasis on the Haitian part.
Okay.
But sadly, I never been to Haiti, but I have been to Bahamas.
Okay. Okay. All right. So it's good to get context,
Mhm.
knowing the culture that you were raised in. While you were growing up, were there ever moments where you felt conflicted between your personal feelings about relationships and maybe what, like you said, just culturally that you were able to glean from the no friends, no, were there ever that conflict?
There wasn't a conflict for me,
Uh-huh.
because up until I met my ex, I never thought about relationships.
Oh, okay.
I never thought about dating. Like I said, I just from what I saw from movies, um, TV shows, and just reading, it was always a fantasy for me, always like a distant thing. So
Yes.
I never fantasized how young girls would about, oh, when I get married, never thought about it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about your parents. Did you did your parents' example, because you said that they would work together and they're married, they're in the church together. Did it influence your idea of relationships and marriage, their relationship specifically, their marriage specifically?
So, um, my parents' marriage, I've always felt was special. Even at a young age, I always felt that their relationship was different without, in comparison to what I saw on TV. Because I
Okay,
couldn't
okay.
really compare it. People that I've known to be married was in church, and I didn't see how their
How they
relationship,
lived.
yeah,
Okay.
how they lived their everyday life. But compared to TV, I always felt my parents' relationship was special.
Okay.
And so I more lean towards what I saw on TV as a relationship
Oh,
than my
okay.
parents' relationship. They worked together for many years.
Mhm.
Um, they did insurance together and they did real estate together for many years.
Yes.
They worked in the church together. I don't know if I in my mind could relate to that being normal.
Mm.
I
Yes.
just always thought they were different and special
Wow.
because even on TV, I would see arguments, and but I didn't really see that growing up. I didn't see them argue. Not to say that they didn't,
Yes.
but it was not anything normal at all.
Can you share a particular memory or lesson from your parents that still guide you today in the realm and staying in that topic of their relationship?
One thing for today, when I look back, um, I can say about my parents is they've always had respect.
Mm,
They've
that's
always had
powerful.
respect for each other. I can say my parents been married for 52 years. This year will make 52 years.
Yes.
I think, yeah. I've never seen my father or my mother disrespect each other.
That's amazing.
I've never seen, I thought about it and I've just never seen it. I've seen them get upset to where when one person is upset, the other person let them have it. You know, it
Yeah.
wasn't a back and forth or I'm challenging you,
Yes.
my mom get upset, my dad is like, okay, whatever. My dad get upset, my mom stays quiet.
Mm.
But never have I seen disrespect between the both of them.
That is powerful. Now, let's go into your early romance, and we'll develop some of what we've already started. So when did you have your first relationship?
I had my first relationship at, I could just turn the week that well, okay, so the week that I turned 14
Yeah.
is when I met my ex-husband, and he was my first relationship, my first love.
Uh-huh.
And what else did you want to know about it? You just want to win? Okay.
So we're starting just to kind of, walk us through, right? The story. So, okay, so you're a teenager. Early teen, but teenager. And when you think back, so I want you to go into your younger self. Okay. So, your younger self at that time, what drew you to that relationship, your ex?
What drew me? At first, I did not like him at all. But he had liked me so much, and I was not having it, but he would not give up.
Wow.
He zeroed in on me. And what drew me to him was sad to, well, it's not sad to say, but his passion for me.
Wow.
His love for me.
That makes sense.
That really drew me to him because I was pushing him away. I was pushed, but it was like it was unconditional. Like he saw so many wonderful things about me, and I just love that.
Okay. All right. The pursuit, the passionate pursuit is something that really drew you to him. And with that relationship, I don't know if this is something you can answer, but can you think of what did that relationship mean to you back then, given what we've already, because we're building, so we're building upon the story. So from what you've already kind of expressed with no real conversations, yes, you're looking at your parents' relationship, which is special, but not necessarily what you're clinging to, what you see on TV. But what did your relationship mean to you back then? Why was it important to you then?
I had asked myself that question many times because in the healing process, I looked back and I was like, what was it? And what I prayed about it too. I think, like I said, growing up, my parents working all the time, not really around. It's just me and my siblings. I think that I've never had an experience of love. Not that I felt unloved, but I didn't realize that I didn't feel love until I started getting that attention from him.
Yes.
And so it actually meant so much to me because I did not realize I wasn't seen. Yes. But I felt seen. I didn't realize that I didn't get affection. Yes. And then I got this affection. So I didn't understand it then, but emotionally and even psychologically, it meant so much to me. It was my world at the time.
Wow. Okay. And how did you imagine your future together during those early? Oh, before I even ask that, I forgot to ask, how did you guys meet? We just said the age. Yeah.
Yes. So we met in church. I remember that day so vividly. It was a Sunday. He came to church and he was sitting in the front row and I'm in the back, and he kept looking back at me. He kept looking back at me. And I'm asking my cousin, Kathleen, I said, oh my gosh, what is this guy looking at? Like, why is he looking at me? So after church, I think he went to Kathleen and asked her to introduce me to him,
Yeah.
because she was sitting next to me, and I
Okay.
guess he saw me. So we met at church.
Okay, church. Okay. So we just wanted to make sure we have that context there. All right. So the question is, how did you imagine your future together during those years, right? Of falling in love. You did say that's your first love, of falling in love.
So I mean, honestly, Yellow House was my
Oh,
favorite. It's always, over the years, I've always wanted a yellow house,
yes.
white picket fence, 2.5 kids. Actually, that's the American dream. That's what I wanted, but I actually
Yes.
wanted 8 kids.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
yes, I wrote it. I wrote down all our kids' names.
Wow.
So we used to talk about our future in the sense that he's going to be an attorney. I mean, it was going to be a traditional
Yes.
marriage where I would
Uh-huh.
be home with the kids, homemaker. That was
Okay, well, you answered the next question because I was going to ask not only what was your future, what did you imagine, but also did you all share your dreams and plans together?
Yes.
So you definitely answered that. Okay, so now you guys are growing in love and all of that. So what happens next? How do you get to the place of engagement?
So, oh child, what happens next is we was growing in love too fast, and we separated.
Okay.
We got separated,
Uh-huh.
and it would be years before we got back together. But we would keep in touch
Okay.
on and off. How you doing? Running into each other. Like I said, we met in church, so his mother was still going to the church,
Uh-huh.
and every so often, I mean, sometimes a year would go by and we wouldn't speak, but every so often we would talk as friends, nothing close.
Okay, so you said that you guys got separated over time. So how long were you dating before, so we can kind of have some context as to your age, and then when you guys start communicating again. So when did it end to that time period? How many?
This alone had it over to, I'll just say 2 years. About 2 years.
Okay, so you're now about 16, going on 17, and then how much time since the end of the relationship to you all reconnecting?
Reconnecting as a couple.
Yes, yes. Reconnecting to, I guess, reinvigorate or restart a relationship.
10 years.
10 years, a
Yeah.
whole decade.
Mhm.
Wow. So during that decade, he was still in your heart.
Never left my heart. Never left my heart, but I also, he never left my heart, but I had, move on. Everybody moves
Yes,
on.
yes.
Move on, but he never left my heart.
You said 10 years had elapsed between you all being separated and then meeting again. Any life happened between that? Any relationships?
Yes, actually. I mean, like I said, we were separated. Um, and I went to Bahamas. I met someone else.
Mhm.
I got married, had kids. We moved back to Miami, and not too long after, he died young. He died young.
Okay. How did you guys, after a decade, how did you all come back together? What was that like?
So he had left and went to the military. He joined the Marines.
Okay.
So he was gone for a while. And when he came back, I think we had ended up at Miami-Dade at the same time. So we were taking classes.
What is, okay, I was gonna say what's Miami-Dade?
College.
Okay.
At the same time. And I remember one day I saw him.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I ran and hid. I didn't want him to see me for some reason.
Uh-huh.
And I just tried to avoid him. And I don't remember if he ended up seeing me first, but anyway, we ended up talking
Yeah.
and we ended up connecting back as friends and we were talking more almost every day. And
Wow.
then he
What was, well, I don't want to, don't forget your thought. Finish saying what you were going to say. You said he. Mhm.
and then he was still in the military. He had transferred from Marines to National Guards. He
Okay.
was still in the military and then he got called to war.
Oh, wow. While you guys are reconnecting.
Reconnecting. We didn't officially get together or anything. We was just talking every day, just
Okay.
getting
What
closer.
what were your first impressions of him when you met up again after a decade? Was he the same person? Were you the same person?
It was, yeah, child, I'm still the same person. That's a part of me that's always gonna be me no matter what.
Yes.
And he noticed that in me, the light, the shine,
Yeah.
the playfulness. He was still the same person. He has a playfulness about him, and he has a serious side about him. So he was exactly that, exactly how I remember.
Okay. Now, you say that he's now deployed. So he's deployed. What happened and how long was he deployed? Because I know at some point you guys got married.
Okay,
So he's
so
deployed, and then give us a little bit of what happens next.
he's deployed, and it's at that moment I realized I still loved him with the thought of him not being here anymore because
Oh,
war, anything
wow.
can
Yes.
happen. So all these feelings that I don't know where they were,
Yeah.
that came flooding back, and um, um, the thing is, he was called to war,
Yes.
and when he was called to war, that was when all these feelings
Mhm.
came back, and I was like, I still love this man because I'm thinking
Mm.
now the
Yes. Sir.
reality of him not being here anymore.
Yes.
Anything could happen in war, and I'm like, I love this man. And
Mm.
I think on his end, it was the same thing because now
Yeah.
we're expressing love. And that's what happened with war. You know, a lot of
Yes.
times
Yes.
when you're facing death, you kind of get honest and you kind of,
Exactly.
so that's how we kind of started
Hmm.
thinking about being together. We wrote letters. We talked on the phone a few times
Okay.
while he was deployed, and he was gone.
Okay. Yeah,
But
that's
how
what I was
long?
gonna ask. I was gonna ask how long was he deployed?
He was gone for a little year. He got injured in the
Okay.
war. I won't specify.
Yeah.
And he came back.
Okay. All right. So now we know he was deployed. A year and a half has passed, but you guys are communicating that whole time while he is there as much as you can.
As much as we
And
could.
then he comes back. So from the time that he comes back from war, how did the conversation go to actually get engaged?
So when he came back, um, we got married. That was not even an engagement.
Okay.
I don't remember the conversation. It happened so fast. We got married 3 months
After
after he came
he
back.
came back.
Oh, about 4 months, 3 to 4 months. Yeah.
And then we can understand that because, like you said, this was over, like it's going close to 20 years now. Where you guys, because you have the 14, 2 years, then you have another decade, then you have another 2 years. So this is about 12 to 14 years of being together, like of knowing each other,
Knowing of,
being,
yeah.
yeah, and falling in love. Okay, so 4 months. But um, did you see any immediate changes in behavior? Because there's a difference from, training and then actually being deployed to war. So was there anything there that
No,
was different when he
like
came
I
back?
no, because like I said, we got married so fast. I'm telling you, I don't even remember from when he came back to it was just okay, we loved each other. We you know how we felt about him.
Okay, so about 4 months, you all are married. So tell me, how was that? Now you're in your marriage. This is your first love. You're his first love. Like what is this marriage like?
So I can tell you, and um, there's certain things just for the person's privacy. There's a lot of
Yes.
things that's their story to tell because it's, the things that go on
Exactly. Exactly.
with. I will tell you immediately, almost immediately, there was, well, almost immediately, like a few months into it, maybe a little less than a year, I noticed a change. I noticed that he started becoming distant and
Hmm.
cold, and I I didn't know what to think or feel because I felt like I was doing everything right.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so our marriage, it's like the lights went out.
Wow. You mentioned that you felt you were doing everything right. Now, obviously, it's in your perspective, based on what we've talked about, that foundation. Um, do you can elaborate a little bit more on some of the things that you felt you were doing right? But I am going to ask you to compare today to then, and was there anything different? So let's first, is there anything you want to share about what you felt you were doing that was right to keep the marriage working?
So, I mean, before it got bad, and bad is a
Relative word,
relative
yes.
word, honestly. Um, so I can go back to what I said my grandmother
Okay,
and my
yes.
aunt had
Yeah.
taught me, and the fact that we had wanted a traditional marriage.
Okay.
So just the basics that a traditional marriage would require of a woman,
Yes.
cooking and the cleaning and um
Okay. So you were going on what you were taught and also what you observed about even that special, you said the special relationship.
I just put cooking and cleaning. I have to say something more than that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what did I say? Oh, so based on what going back to what my grandmother, my
Yes.
aunt would teach me in preparation for, being a good wife and playing my role, cooking and cleaning.
Yes.
I'm going to church. I respect him. I don't think I've ever had a time where I was very disrespectful
Okay.
to him, even though I felt, you know, he was being cold and
Yes.
in towards me. Um, I felt hurt and angry, but never really
Mhm.
expressed it because I wanted to be a good wife.
Yes.
And so,
Now, how did your church background play into your response to the cold feeling, to the disconnect, and to putting in the efforts that you did in your marriage?
well, honestly, I was not thinking about my church background
Okay.
at that time. I was very hurt.
Uh-huh.
I was angry. And if anything, I was questioning, um, not questioning God in a challenging way,
Yes.
but kind of like, Lord, I prayed about this.
Yes.
I love this man.
Uh-huh.
So what is going on in the sense of how can how can this be happening
Yes.
when I prayed about it? Um,
So understanding that now, going on a year of marriage, there are these challenges that were happening. How, and this is only if you have already assessed this and something that you can answer, but how did his military service impact your communication and stress management as a couple?
go too much on, or not to say too much on his personal experience.
Yes.
Um, I can say what I saw,
Yes.
and I saw him, uh, like I said, kind of shut down
Okay.
and kind of lock. blocked me out of
Okay.
whatever it was that he was going through. I actually didn't really understand if he was going through anything.
Okay.
I'm like, I know I've done everything right. Um, so I was more concerned about how I felt and what I was or wasn't doing right. So
Okay. Now, when you say that you're looking at, and obviously you can only speak from your own perspective, and I would definitely not want to put any words in your ex's mouth because he would have his own perspective about it. But did you express these things to him so that you all can work together in acknowledging it? So the coldness, the locked box that you kind of gave a metaphor for. Did you guys have those conversations?
I remember asking him, uh, what's going on? Um, what's happening? Why are you
Mhm.
like this? And he didn't really have an answer for me. He said, he, I think he used to say to me, like, it's nothing,
Okay.
it's not about you. That's what actually, that's what he said. It's not about you.
Oh, okay.
Um, but again, that's it. I would not get more than that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be respectful
Uh-huh.
of him and, his personality. You don't have a choice. You're going to respect, his boundaries. So
Yeah.
I felt stuck. Like I felt stuck. There was nothing I could do. And
Okay.
that made me angry and sad at the same time.
Okay. Now you're feeling stuck. It's causing you to have those emotions of anger and sadness. At some point, did you all take steps together as a couple? So, we know counseling, speaking to a pastor, just generally or informally. Did you guys or seek the advice of other married couples? Did you guys take any of those steps?
No, I know he was not going to. He was not going to do that.
No?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Okay. Now, looking back, what were the early warning signs or maybe missed opportunities that hinted at future challenges in your marriage?
There were not any early warning signs because we moved so fast.
Okay.
So looking back,
Yes.
I feel like I should not have moved that fast. And I think that
And hold on, let's stop right here just to kind of flesh it out a little bit. You said move that fast. And are you talking specifically about him coming back from war and then the marriage? Is that
yes,
that okay, that part. Okay.
yes, because
And what would you have done differently than with what you're referring to that time period?
well, one of the things I took into account, I didn't know uh, the real effects of war. I didn't know how war affected
Okay.
people. I didn't know what I saw on TV,
Yeah.
and that you were either all of this,
Yes.
and if you weren't all of this, then
Yeah.
you're okay. If you can
Oh,
function, you
okay.
can speak, you can work, you can do all those things, then you're fine. I didn't know that there are silent effects
Wow.
that does not display itself,
Yes.
in things that people battle with internally. So on that aspect, had I
Yes.
known better about that alone,
Yes.
I wouldn't have moved this as fast. And for me, I saw him because, like I mentioned before, he was
Yes.
always in my heart.
Yes.
Um, I saw him as the answer
Yes.
to my happiness.
Wow.
I saw him as the answer to my happiness, and I always felt like a reset. If we got back together,
Yes.
then the yellow house, the white picket fence,
Yes.
and all these things, as opposed to uh, healing, as opposed to my own personal healing
Yes.
on my past experiences.
Mm, okay. Now, I know that you didn't do it together, right? but obviously what you know now, you didn't know then. And they love to say hindsight is 2020. But during that time, did you yourself seek any comfort or help from your faith, your faith community, or individuals, or even because I know that you said you were asking God those questions through prayer, but did you actively, you know, be a part of a women's group or individuals to help you, even though He wouldn't do certain things, like to help you with that process?
Um, no. And the reason why, growing up in Haitian culture,
Yes.
you don't talk about your problems. You
Mm,
deal with them.
wow.
You work through them.
Uh-huh.
You find a way. Whether Christian or Christian, I don't know. You
Wow.
don't talk about your problems. For what I was feeling
Yes.
and for what I was going through, I don't think anyone um, in my church community would have an answer for me.
Wow.
No, I don't think there was an answer for me. So I just didn't ask.
Okay.
I could have been wrong, but I
Yeah,
just didn't
but
ask.
at that time, yeah, because we're only talking about where you were at
Yeah.
that moment, right?
Yeah.
What we know today, we'll kind of get to that, but just
Okay.
to kind of figure out where you were in that moment. Were there any other things that you felt could have influenced the breakdown of the marriage, or you or him during the marriage outside of military, right? Because that may not have been anything at all. Was there any other things with your family background, his family background, anything that you believe could have
I think,
played a part?
well, not really. And I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
I say not really as
Mhm.
opposed to no.
Yes.
I know that his family played a role or tried to play a role
Yes.
and us not being together.
Okay.
And I remember young, they used to say he loved me too much
Okay.
and things like that. But because of the type of person he was,
Yes.
that would not have affected him. He did what he wanted to do. He made
Okay.
decisions
Okay.
he wanted to make. So there were other things, but that didn't deter me either.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, so you're married for over a year, and how long did you guys stay married? What happened
We
as you continued on in the marriage before divorce?
we were married. We were married for 6 years.
Okay. So 6 years. And so now, of course, we're always coming back to bring
Mhm.
context. So within a year, because you mentioned about like half a year to a year, you started to have or recognize that separation, kind of distance and coldness, and you were hurt. You said you were feeling hurt. Now, what happened for 4.5 or 5 years that gave you hope to remain in the marriage?
So I got pregnant with our daughter and I saw a change in him.
Wow.
And I got pregnant within the first year, but when
Okay.
she was born, which
Yes.
would lead us into the second year,
Yes.
I saw a change in him. He when he was with her, like knowing
Yes.
she was coming,
Yes.
he was the old him to me.
Wow.
He was supporting
You
something
get
for
it.
him.
Okay.
And not too long after, because they are Irish twins, I had another girl,
Okay.
and he loves his girls. He's
Yes.
happy for his girls. So of course I had hope
Yes.
because now we on the path of 2.5 kids
Yes.
between each other.
Yes.
And I was very hopeful. I was happy. He's a attentive father,
Yeah.
and all that. So that's what kept me even more hoping that this marriage would work.
Okay. All right. And so there's hope. You have the children. He's showing love and support and all of that. So what happened between having the children, all of that support, to you even considering that this marriage may not work?
The happiness and joy
Yeah.
extended to where the girls ended.
Wow.
So when he was with them, he was happy.
Yes.
And when they weren't around, he was normal. Like he went back to
what you described as okay, yeah, his shell. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So he what made my heart sink, and I kind of knew it was over, was when he decided to go to law school, and I found out the week that he was going.
Oh wow.
We were in Miami, and he was going to law school. I won't say the state, but a few states away.
It wasn't in Miami. He wasn't going to law school in Miami. Okay.
And I was devastated. The week that he was going was when he told me. So he was planning all this, and I didn't know. And the girls are young, very young, babies still. And that devastated me. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I was like, wow, this man is not in this marriage.
Wow. And how did you respond to that when you found out?
I cried and cried the whole week. I cried and cried and cried. And I remember saying, you don't love me. Now, let me tell you, it was a shocker for me, because let me tell you, I sleep, wake up, even though he was acting like that.
Yes.
My belief, you could have told me anything. The one thing you could not tell me is that this man did not love me. Even though he was acting, but when he made that decision, I felt so betrayed. Was the first time. And this is why I stayed. I had hope and stayed in the marriage, because I always knew something is wrong, but I always knew that he loved me.
Yes.
And that was such a betrayal for me. Mm-hmm. That devastated me.
Well, when he told you, though, you said that he mentioned the week of, is he telling you because he's made plans for you and the family to travel with him, but you're just shocked at how late in the game you got the news?
Listen, he already signed up. He's in school. You know, he was leaving that week to start school.
Okay.
And there was no plans for us to come. I don't remember a conversation of that, because we never went.
So he never. Okay, so now that he's there, because I'm assuming he did end up. Did he end up leaving that week?
He ended up leaving that week.
He left that week. Did he send back for you a day before your birthday?
It just ended up falling that way. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Did he call you and say, like, come send tickets for you and the girls? Like, was that a part of the conversation?
No, because the cost of school was cost was one of the reasons he chose where he was going.
Yes.
And you know, he wanted me to visit him. He wanted me to come up. I don't think we could have afforded to go there. I was working in Miami. He was not working. He was going off alone. So we couldn't have come, but he wanted me to visit him, and I never did. Like I said, I felt betrayed.
Yeah.
Looking at the time, I'm going to tell you what my thought was at the time.
Yes.
I was like, I didn't send you there, so why would I go visit you there? Like, don't ask me to come visit you now when you made this decision to abandon. And that's how I felt, that you abandoned the girls first and then me.
And did he ever apologize? Did you tell him that you felt abandoned? Because you said you felt that way, but did you express that to him?
Yes, even when he was going, even when he was gone. For a while, I expressed it to him. I mean, many years later, he actually broke down what happened.
Okay.
But at the time, no.
And did he apologize to you at that time? So while everything was still fresh and going on?
He was when he saw my reaction, he was regretful that was a decision he felt he had to make.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think he was sorry that he made that decision.
Okay, so now trying to make sure we keep the timeline. Mm-hmm. You're married about a year. So within that year, you said within that year, you got pregnant with your first daughter. Mm-hmm. And then with him. And then the second daughter came. He's Irish twin, so that's about 2 years. So about 2 years. Then, so that means on year three is when he was leaving for law school. Yes. When he left for law school. Okay, there's still 3 years. So were you guys able to communicate? What happened during that time, during the marriage?
We still didn't communicate him. I stayed frustrated and angry with him.
Okay.
And that was it. He would, on break, he would come down.
Okay.
I never refused him.
Yes.
Access to me or the children. I never refused him that because I still loved him.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that whatever it is he's going through, he'll snap out of it, come back to his senses.
Yes.
And make this marriage work. But he was the same.
Okay. Now, you had hope. So that's the word we'll hold on to. You had hope that, yes, it's 3 years, but you did have hope that I love this man. He loves me enough. We have these children that we both love, that we had together, and we would be together even after all that happened. So what then led to you even considering divorce?
After he left, I didn't feel he loved me. I even didn't feel he loved the girls.
Oh, okay. So that whole time, like throughout that, okay.
Even now when he would on break, he would come. I have no problem with it. I'm hoping that when he came, each time he come, he would stay.
Oh, okay. See, we didn't say that part, so that's why I was saying that because you said you accept him, like when he came back from law school, you accept him. So I didn't know if your mind had changed that yes, he does love me again, because you did mention when he left, you didn't feel that love.
Yeah, when he came back, I'm like, okay, he's back.
Yes.
He sees us. He's happy to see us. Okay, he's gonna stay.
Yeah.
No, he left. So I went with, because originally we were talking about Georgia.
Yes.
And I had went with the kids to Savannah. We moved to Savannah. He came down one summer.
Okay.
I was hoping he would stay. We're all in Savannah. He did not stay.
Okay.
And I think I got sick, and then my sister was like, "You need to come back. You have no family. You have no one there. Your husband's not there. You need to come back home." So I did. I took the kids. We came back home, and he would come and go back. And at that point, I was like, I don't know about this. This is not a marriage. You're not communicating with me. You're making decisions without me.
Yes.
I felt alone. I felt abandoned. I was hurt. I was angry. So that was when the turmoil had set in, whether I'm going to divorce this man or suffer in silence.
Wow. Did you feel like there was the pressure from your religious background or your Christian background to remain in the marriage as well?
1,000%.
1,000%.
This was something that made me sick to think about, but at the same time, I would ask family members.
Yes.
I would ask I don't remember. No, I didn't ask my dad. I asked family members. I prayed and prayed about it. I cried and cried about the fact that I knew kind of this is something I had to do because I did not want to be, I didn't want to be in limbo.
Yes.
And I was unhappy. I felt tied. And one of the questions I asked myself was, is this something God would want for you?
Wow.
If you're praying, you're asking God for a relationship, is this something he would want?
And what was the response?
And I think over here, I was fighting with this. I had a conversation with him.
Yes.
He never expressed that he wanted to stay married or didn't want to stay married. He just, it's like nothing. And I, like a shell of a person. So one day, I was sitting at the table and my dad was speaking to someone else about what marriage should be.
Okay.
I had a question in my heart. I never asked him. And it's like he was answering about faithfulness. And faithfulness is not just adultery. Being faithful to your vows is all the other things. Again, he wasn't speaking to me, but I felt like that was my confirmation. I was tired.
Yes.
I was tired. Emotionally, spiritually, I was tired of praying, and it was nothing. I was tired.
And you said that you had a conversation with him. Was he a believer as well? Was he praying about everything that was going on? Do you know?
He was not into he used to be, and then he wasn't, and then there was a time where he just didn't believe in a lot of things that had to do with religion or spirituality.
Yes.
So no, and that was another thing. I was unevenly yoked.
Wow.
You know, I looked at that as part of whether I should stay, whether I shouldn't stay.
Yes.
And he was not a believer.
So you answered one of my next questions, because I was going to ask, did you feel trapped or forced to stay longer than you wanted to because of religion or culture? And you definitely answered that. Now, how did you reconcile that fear with your need for emotional safety, spiritual safety?
The fear
or security.
Divorcing?
Yes, the fear of divorcing.
When he left, he had already put me in an unsafe place.
Wow.
In my mind. I did not want to raise the girls by myself. Even though so I didn't want to raise the girls by myself. I already felt unsafe when he left. I felt vulnerable. And I got to the point where I didn't trust myself to make decisions.
Wow.
Because I was 100% sure with my whole being that this man was for me. And the way I felt betrayed, I stopped trusting myself for many years to make decisions.
Wow.
So even sometimes now, I kind of freeze.
Yes.
And really question anything that I'm going to do. Because I was so sure about him.
Wow. So even to today, and obviously closer in time, then you knowing that this, and especially the confirmation that you said you received, even when your father was speaking to someone else about marriage, that this was not what God, and you even asked that question, right? What God would want. But because of how sure you felt about your relationship, that led you to believe that you can't trust your own judgment.
Yes.
Wow. That's powerful.
I was paralyzed for many years. I was paralyzed, and I just wouldn't make a decision.
And how were you? And was it you or was it him? How was the decision made to actually get a divorce?
Oh, I even up until when I was doing it, I never wanted to divorce him. I felt I needed to. So that's the difference. I never wanted to divorce him. But I felt I needed to.
Okay. And what steps did you take? What was the thing?
So we had a conversation. He was at my place, and I remember we were talking outside, and I invited God into this. I said, I'm going to have a conversation with you, and I want to invite God into this conversation.
Wow.
And he made a mockery of it at the time. He probably wouldn't remember that, but he made a mockery of me inviting God into the conversation.
And what do you mean by made a mockery?
I don't see God here. Where, something,
okay.
Something to that effect.
Yes.
And in the conversation, I asked him finally, like, do you want to be married? Like, is this something that you want?
Yes.
He just looked at me and never answered.
Wow.
And just the mockery thing, and I just felt very disrespected at that moment.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to be serious about something.
Exactly.
And I felt that he was, disrespecting me. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to file. And he said, yeah, go ahead and file, and I'll give you them. I'll pay you back for it.
And that was the conversation.
And that was conversation, and I filed.
And you said he was there, so that was in Miami. So he came.
Miami,
he was still in law school, and he came to visit you.
But yeah, maybe it was one of his visits. I don't remember, but yeah.
And then you move forward in filing. Now, it seemed as if, based on his response, that you did not have a contested divorce.
No, we worked together on it.
Okay.
We didn't have any assets together.
Okay.
So the only thing that we really had to work on was visitation and who the girls are going to be with Christmas and Thanksgiving, and we worked fine with that.
Okay, it's like a parenting plan was the only thing you
parenting plan, yes.
Okay. All right. So now you get the divorce, and what happens after the divorce? What steps did you take for your own healing or restoration?
Well, one of the things I felt I needed for security,
yes,
I just felt so unsafe and insecure, was a house.
Oh.
So that was one of the first things I did, was because we were going to do it together.
Okay.
So I bought a house.
Okay.
And that gave me a sense of security. Our parenting plan went fine. We had the girls every other weekend.
Okay.
We co-parent well, beautifully up until today. We co-parent fine.
Okay. And how did you, because especially the fact that, one, you have your spiritual background. Mm-hmm. You have, just as a pastor's child, I mean, I'm one too, and I know that there's that pressure of seeming all put together, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Being the role model of all of those that's around, that's in the church. How were you able to redefine your self-worth?
You asking me emotional questions. I spent a long time embarrassed. I was embarrassed that even though I didn't blame myself, I know I didn't do anything wrong. I was, and faithfulness was not our issue.
Okay.
So, there was, not to my knowledge, any cheating, anything. Being a pastor's daughter, I felt bad about disappointing my family, although my siblings, listen, they're my life. Always supportive, never judgmental, mm-hmm. supportive with the kids. My parents are angels. They never made me feel bad, but they they were such a good example. I tell you, my 52 years, and mm-hmm. so I felt bad about that. My personal humiliation and theirs. Mm-hmm. They were good parents. Yeah. They were a good example. Uh-huh. And you could just imagine having to deal with, and my mom especially take pride mm-hmm. in her children. So I know it was difficult for her, and she felt bad for me. So it was a devastating thing all around, and I did not feel like a role model at all. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like a role model.
Did you continue to go to church?
Were you? Okay. I did, because it was my relationship with God that meant more to me, that actually helped me through it. But I would go, and I didn't. I was there, and I just withdrew within myself, But I went because of my relationship with God, and then I went because it was kind of like my duty to go. Like,
Yes.
I just wouldn't stay home and not go. But there were times I didn't want to go.
Mm,
I didn't want to go, but I got up and I got dressed and I went to church anyway. For the
okay.
children too.
Yeah, okay, that's good. And you're there with the children.
Mhm.
How has your relationship with God evolved as you work through the pain of your divorce, I guess, marriage and divorce?
So eventually I went on this journey,
Yes.
a personal journey with God. I remember being in church one day.
Uh-huh.
I had on this blue dress,
Mhm.
and I said to God, I know what everyone else has told me about you.
Mm.
I know what my parents, they have their story of how they, their situation, such a miracle story. My grandmother, how she ended up in Haiti. Everyone had a story.
Yes.
And I received that, and I look up to it. And I said, but I want my own personal experience with you.
Yeah.
I want my own story with you.
Yeah.
And I went on a spiritual journey, and that was part of the healing for me.
Mm.
God
Yeah.
had helped me to heal. It was many years in the making.
Yes. And can you share a transformative moment when you felt God's presence guiding you toward healing?
It was not a particular moment, but many moments. It was okay, so it wasn't one particular, there was many moments, but I had healed from him. So I was over it.
Yes.
But I still felt like he was shady. And I
Uh-huh.
did not, a part of me did not like him, even though
Yes.
we got along for the girls and we
Yeah.
were fine. But I had healed. I was not in love with him anymore. I moved on.
Yeah.
But there was in 2024, so last year,
Yes.
I was doing a prayer every Saturday.
Uh-huh.
I get up and pray and pray and pray. And there was a lot of things I wanted God to do for me. It healed me
Yeah.
from something traumatic,
Yes.
physical healing from something traumatic.
Yeah.
And one of the things that God revealed to me, because I didn't realize, like, I had like this bitterness towards him,
Yes.
and I didn't realize it was still there.
Okay.
And one day, God had just revealed to me
Mm-hmm.
that this man is not the enemy and he never was.
Wow.
I had expectations of him that was unrealistic.
Mm.
So it took me back to this young guy, Barry, 25,
Yeah.
um, who came out of war,
Uh-huh.
wanting to do the right thing by marrying, starting a family.
Yeah.
Um, he would go to church, even though but he would go to church with me.
Okay.
And all these, I said, you know what? And it's not an easy thing for a young man to do.
Yes.
They'll play the field,
Exactly.
whatever the case is. So wait a minute now. So God is telling me this man is not your enemy.
Mm.
So as I continued on this journey with prayer, and then God revealed to me that what I received was that I failed him. I failed him.
When you say him, are you referring to your ex?
My ex, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I failed him. And I had sent him a text.
Yes.
At this point, it was 20 years later.
Wow.
20 years later, I had sent him a text and I said, it's been 20 years. I don't know if this matters anymore, but you want me to read it?
Yeah, if you want to,
Okay.
we would love to hear it.
Okay, I'm going to read it only because, this is my text, so you can't feel me talking about it.
It's your words. So in your own words, we would definitely love to hear because it is a part of the healing journey. And it's important. We always talk about, writing things down and addressing things. So let us know a part of that healing that happened.
So September 26th, to show you just the other day.
Yeah.
Kind of like the final chapter where I don't feel like a victim.
Yes.
And that he has done anything to me. So I say, good afternoon. I owe you an apology. I know it's almost 20 years, but I'm realizing now that I have not been fair to you. I was not there for you when you needed me. You were a good guy trying to do the right thing, getting married, starting a family. It was probably too much too soon out of the military, and it was probably overwhelming for you. And instead of supporting you, I reacted out of insecurity, fear, and a lack mindset. I cared more about how I felt than what you were going through. I failed you as a wife and as a Christian. I prayed for us to stay together, but I never thought to pray for you and what you may have been going through. And for that, I am sorry. I know we're both over it now, but because I'm just realizing the role I played in the destruction of our relationship, I wanted you to know that I take blame for it. I've always seen you as the bad guy because I was hurt by the whole thing. But you did your best, and I appreciate you for everything. You overcame a lot, and you're still doing the best you can for the girls. And for that, I will always love you, and you will always be my family.
Wow, that is powerful.
And I knew I was healed.
Mm,
I was healed. I just came out of prayer.
yeah.
Um, and I felt like God wanted. And do you know, after I sent him that text,
Yes.
he never responded directly to the text, which
Yes.
was fine by me,
Yes.
but there was a shift in his attitude and his
Wow.
behavior. I never addressed the shift.
Yeah.
It's just,
And he never
he
acknowledged
never
the
acknowledged the
text,
text.
but there was a change, meaning it had an impact
It
in
had
some
an
way.
impact.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is amazing. Thank you for sharing. It's very transparent. And even to him, sharing that after taking that role that you couldn't see at the time. So while you were in it, you could not see that, but seeing it now, okay? And how have these lessons, your journey, let's use the word journey because I like that word that you use. How have what you've learned through your journey reshape your approach to relationships today?
So, there is still a part of me
Mm,
that is cautious,
okay, that makes sense.
but I could say now more than I've ever been before, I'm more open. It's like um, a door open
Yes,
to my soul, to my heart,
yes,
where I can receive. Before I had a wall up, I really did.
yeah.
The door wasn't locked, but it was closed
Mm,
to
yeah,
relationships. I wanted one because it was what people say, oh, you should be with someone, you should be married, you should
yeah,
whatever. The culture.
yeah.
Um, but I don't think I was ready for one. I really
Mm,
wasn't ready for one.
okay,
But yeah,
okay. And what wisdom would you offer to others on a similar journey of healing after marital challenges?
allow yourself to grieve
Yeah.
and intentionally search for healing.
Mm,
I think because part of what I've done was just, you know, like if you get hit
yeah.
or some people fall
Yes.
and they're hurt, but they jump up so fast and they don't realize that they're hurt
Yes.
until they start walking and they start limping
Yeah.
away. I think this would divorce is a huge hit,
Yeah.
whether it's on your finances, um, emotional hit, mental, psychological,
Yes.
all of that. A spiritual,
Yes.
spiritual, I could take a hit from that.
Exactly.
Lay there for a second.
Mm,
Allow healing. No, allow grieving
yes.
and intentionally seek healing.
Mm. And what is one of you said intentionally seek healing. What is one of the things that someone can do being intentional about healing?
Self-reflection. What
Mm,
role did I play?
wow.
Because, like I said, with him, I was so with my marriage.
Yes.
I was so wrapped up in feeling betrayed and hurt
Yes.
because of what I expected from him
Yes.
that I didn't realize I was not helping him.
Mm.
I was not there for him.
Yes.
And sometimes you have to take a back seat. That is very intentional when
Yes.
you can put yourself on the back burner for the greater good.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. What advice would you give to someone caught between their faith and the realities of that toxic marriage?
What I had to learn even after my marriage and now, it's number one, toxicity, be safe.
Yes.
Be safe. That's the first thing, because toxic has different faces,
Exactly.
you know. So if there's physical danger, get out of there and deal with everything else later,
Yeah.
But outside of that,
Yeah.
I surrendered. I
Mm.
surrendered to God. I really did. And it's cliche to say,
Yeah.
but there's a reason why it's
Uh-huh.
a cliche,
Yeah.
because it is effective. There's a reason why Jesus said, cast your cares on me.
Mm.
There are some emotional burdens we cannot bear.
Yes.
And so I am someone who don't ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to look weak because
Yes.
I am strong. I've always been strong,
Yes.
but there are some things that we can't stand against on our own.
Yeah.
So for my marriage, if I had surrendered that to God and stop,
Mm. Yes.
and evaluate and assess, we probably would have still been married today. With that being said, I don't regret.
Yes. Okay.
I do not regret being divorced. I think him being healed, me being healed, I don't know where he's at in his journey.
Yes.
We don't match.
Uh-huh.
We don't match, but I think I probably still would have been married though,
If you had taken
if
those
I had
steps.
taken
Yes.
those steps.
Okay. Basically, the envisioning a future where so people transitioning, so you're in a challenging marriage, transitioning from that challenging marriage, so basically divorce,
Okay, that's what
but with the integrity, um, preserving integrity, family bonds for alignment with God's will.
the transitioning process is so hard.
Mm.
And I think that's the hardest, because sometimes 10 years later, you're still transitioning.
Wow.
You're still transitioning if, like I said before, you don't stop, assess, accept the fact that the marriage is over. If it's over, accept
Yes.
the fact that it is over,
Uh-huh.
and you take it one day at a time.
Yes.
If you look too much into the future, you'll be paralyzed in the sense
Mhm.
of, I can't do this, I'm embarrassed. But every morning the sun rise, and so will you.
That's powerful. So one thing that I would usually say, and then we're going to get a little bit into your experience in the focus group with Divorce Like a Boss, the book, is the fact that divorce is not the whole story. It is a chapter, and that God's purpose is still there for that person. Because there's a lot of people, due to their spiritual background and the church and the shame, kind of the exact things you were expressing, they either stay in the marriage without being able to even hear God or fulfill his will for that, or they come out of it and think, nope, God can't use me anymore. What is your perspective on still fulfilling God's purpose for your life, even after divorce?
Well, the first thing is, for whoever's listening and actually in it right now, if this can help free you a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
your marriage is not your identity.
Wow.
And I think that's the crippling thing for a lot of people, why they stay.
Mm-hmm.
Their marriage is their identity, or even being married is their whole identity. They wrap that up in, if I'm married, I'm worth, people put more worth on who I am.
Yeah.
Being in alignment with what God wants for your life.
Yeah.
How do we know what God would want for our life? It's in the Word.
Mm.
Where are you
Yes.
most powerful? Where do people more respond to you?
Yes.
If it's speaking, if it's singing, if it's
Yes.
helping, if you get more response from that,
Yes.
and you have a relationship or building a relationship with God,
Yes.
then there is life after divorce.
Yes.
You are like you've been created to serve God, to be an inspiration,
Yes.
and whether it's divorce, whether it's sickness, whatever it is, um, if you can get through that
Yes.
and continue to smile, and that alone is God is using you
Yes.
to help someone else that's going through the same thing.
Man, yeah. It's just- so, as you know, I wrote the book Divorce Like a Boss to share the lessons, right, that I've learned representing divorce clients because I'm married, going on 14 years next
Mhm.
month. But representing divorced clients, I recognize that people being stuck, right? People who are able to make decisions, be leaders, and all that, but they would get stuck at that place and feel like, just like you said, their identity was connected to it. So, what was your initial reaction when you encountered the book?
My initial reaction was, "Where were you all my life?" I needed that because I was so conflicted. And you see, I get teary eyed I get emotional
Yes,
about remembering. I'm not there anymore,
yes,
but it was so painful for me and it was so hard for me. And I felt like that book could have been like a sister to me
mm,
at the time when I needed to hear something. You remember I was saying
yes,
it, I had the question in my heart,
yes,
but I didn't think anyone had the answer for me because I'm going to tell, I didn't even ask my parents. They've been married at that time. I don't know, 40 years or
yes,
35 years. I don't
yes,
remember, but they've been married.
yes,
My uncle, everybody around me was married, to be quite honest. I
yes.
think I was first person in my family to get divorced.
Wow.
Everyone was married around me. Who can understand what I was going through? But that book, it not only tells you how to divorce with class and
Yes.
dignity and integrity, but that there's life after it.
Mm,
And I needed that. A lot of tears, a lot of turmoil I would not have had to go through
uh-huh.
if I had that book. It's like a friend,
Mm,
trying to help me out, help us to stand
yes.
out. I needed that at the
Yes.
time.
Yeah. And just like you said, I wanted to be conversational. I
Mhm.
didn't want it to be just instructional. You know, you're just reading instructions.
Yes,
So I wanted to be because, like I've said in interviews and things, I cannot be with every person that is going through this process.
hmm
But if
hmm
I can be there with you through the book in that process and help you in any way, you know, in your divorce process, or even if you're considering divorce, then that's enough. So you actually captured what I was trying to say. Now, you definitely graced us a couple of years ago and being a part of the focus group because we did want to know, is this book reaching? Is the message clear enough to what we're trying to get across? Is it going to make an impact and people's lives, you know? So, which parts of the book is, you not only read it, but also um, was a part of that focus group, but which part of the book spoke most directly to your personal experiences?
So, like I said, there was many good parts of the book, but where I was stuck
Yes.
was God can still use you.
Mm,
I felt ashamed. You see, I was
yes.
still emotional about it. I'm not ashamed anymore, but I felt ashamed. I felt God wouldn't use me because of people's judgment
Yes.
on me. So that for me, and if anyone, is a believer
Yes.
who read that book, I think that part will speak to them a lot, especially in if their church or their faith community
Yeah.
puts emphasis on the value of marriage
Mm,
and
wow.
you've been raised to see your value in that marriage, or you saw your grandmother, your mother's
Yes.
valuing marriage over
Yes.
her own personal identity, then that aspect of the book was so powerful for me. And I was emotional reading it because I
Yes.
knew I wish I had that. I wouldn't have, suffered as long as I did.
Okay, so as we close out, thank you for sharing that because it is important. It's important to know that there are there are tools out there, things out there for us. So we are going to take a moment for our sponsors to highlight our sponsors, and we will be back.
This episode is brought to you by the Sejuki Firm. Celebrating a decade of excellence, the Sejuki Firm provides award-winning estate planning and business legal services in Florida and Georgia. Secure your legacy with trusted expertise. Visit us at thesgfirm.com. Divorce Lab Institute. Step into healing with purpose. Divorce Lab Institute is redefining the divorce process with the Healer program, which provide faith-centered guidance, strategic support, and real transformation. Divorce differently. Start your journey today at dlabinstitute.com. Ally Prestige Apparel. Style with significance. Ally Prestige Apparel celebrates and empowers paralegals and nurses with high-quality, meaningful fashion. Join the movement. AllyPrestigeApparel.com. Now, back to this week's episode.
And finally, what final words of encouragement would you offer to help whoever's listening and transitioning through this process embark on a path of empowerment and healing?
I just want to reiterate, to take it one day at a time. Not a failure more than it is a life lesson. And this too shall pass. The humiliation, the embarrassment, even the financial destruction, you can rebuild. And you take everything you've learned, reflect, and grow stronger from it.
That is powerful. Is there any upcoming things? What should we know? What do you have in the works?
Well, I had a near-death experience that happened to me.
Oh, wow.
March of last year. So a year ago.
A year ago.
A year ago. And it's something that I really want to share, that I will be sharing with people. And it's a testimony to the power of prayer also.
Wow.
So that is what's going to be coming up.
So we are going to look forward to that powerful testimony of your life experience. They say your test is your testimony. So we thank God for you and your life, since you said it is a near-death experience. So you died.
I actually died, yes.
We are definitely looking forward to hearing that story. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jodelin, for being a part of Faces of Divorce. You have a powerful story, and we know that it will impact lives. Thank you so much.
If it can help someone. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And this is Faces of Divorce. I'm Jadina N. Gustav Esquire, but you could call me Attorney J.